the big news from the stream, although it wasn't big news for some of us, because some of us, yours truly, found an article that sort of stated that the game has obviously moved from Space Ape to Yodo 1. Now, for those that aren't aware, Yodo 1 produced the China server of Transformers Earth Wars. So I did cover this a while ago. I did have a China account. And what happened is, a couple of years ago, I lost access to that account. And I tried getting access back. But you needed a Chinese Google account to download the game. You needed a postcode from China to be able to chat to the people that make the game. I think they were really trying to keep it in China and in-house for whatever reason. And so I found out if you change your region on Google, you're going to do that once every 6 months or something. And so I didn't want to update my Google account, which is also linked to my global account, and then for some reason lose my global account and not be able to use Google to get it back again. Although I probably could, it's not a chance I wanted to take. And so sadly, I lost my China account. Never really thought to get it back. I just didn't really. I thought I'd just leave it for what it is. We're struggling for time and things like that. It was also costing money to play it. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to play it. But if you really want to know what it's about, then go check out my old videos which show different game modes and how to play a China server. They're quite old, but they're still quite relevant. It's changed a lot since then from what I believe, but it'll give you an idea. So the China server, how that's different, is very highly monetized, but a lot cheaper to get into it. They did some really cheap bundles, like $2 and $3, just for some like older bots. But then the newer content was really, really expensive. A lot of leaderboards, things like that. But aside of that, what people were worried about was if the game goes to Yodo 1, which, again, the apes can't talk about this. They're under an NDA, which means they can't even talk about it at all. But then it has been leaked. So they're in this weird sort of status quo of not being able to talk about it, even though everyone knows about it. And so it is Yodo 1. It's not been confirmed, but it is. It is. And everyone's worry was that when the game goes over to Yodo 1, will it change? Will it become highly monetized like China server? Will these things sort of like, go towards how the China server is ran? And Yanis sort of said, listen, that's not going to happen. The way we run the game is not going to change. We're still going to keep going as we do. Now, there are some things on China server they can maybe incorporate, because the China server incorporates a lot of what Yanis does. But they're like 3 or 4 months behind Yanis. It was always the new bots came out and then they came to the China server. They've got some different 5 stars because all 5 stars are all ready to go already. So it is quite different. But don't worry, guys. Yanis said, listen, we're not changing the game in that respect. The reason it's gone to Yodo 1 is that they needed a company that had good ties with Hasbro. Now, Hasbro obviously have ties with Space Ape because they produce Earth Wars, and then with Yodo 1 because they do the China server of Earth Wars. So they already had them good ties. And so by Yanis, I keep saying Apes, but by Yanis saying, listen, we want to take the game to Yodo 1, Hasbro can go, all right, listen, we know Yodo 1. We've worked with him. We trust them. Let's do that. We'll give you a contract to keep using the name Transformers and stuff. So it was a really easy, transition in terms of gaining Hasbro's trust that the game was in the right hands. Yanis also said, I want the same team. I want to keep the team because the team that run the China server, Earth Wars, is completely different and don't really understand the way that we run games and how games are different in the West compared to China. So it was really good to hear sort of Yanis say these things and put our minds to rest and say, listen, the game is going to keep running regardless. But there's a lot of questions, obviously, that the game is going to be run by a Chinese company, so certain laws come into play, maybe, but then do they? So a lot of sort of question marks, but Yanis has said, listen, the game is staying the same. And that's the main thing, that the game is staying the same. It's the same team that's involved with it. Yanis still calls the shots. Yanis is still in charge. But from what I've heard, they've got more freedom to get more people in. And Yoda 1 have gone, listen, basically, as long as the game's making decent profits, we don't care what you do. Knock yourselves out. Go for it. And so Yanis is now going, listen, we can get extra designers in. They've got Fabian. They've got Sam. They've also got Yanis. They've got Hyro. Dale's helping out. And they're going to get a new designer. I also believe that Callum is also coming back to the team as well. So the team's sort of expanding to what it was before. We've already got Sam as an extra one with Fabian to help out. And now we're going to get another designer as well. So they've got more people than they ever have working on the game. Because Yanis has some big plans this year, which we're going to talk a bit about later on. But the good news is that the game's continuing. The game's at a studio that they can trust is going to push the games forward. Yoda one are really good at marketing the Chinese server, so they could probably do that with this version and get more players in. And Yanis still in charge, so I think everything's sweet.